Welcome back. My name is Mike Rondo. For those of you that just happened to stumble upon my channel, for those of you who've been around, welcome back. Few things. I know a few people are gonna ask because I just shaved my head. I did this myself. I've been doing this for I want to say since I was 17, shaving my own head. Hasn't always gone so well, but I'm pretty much an expert now. I'm like my own barber. Although last year I did go to the barber for a little bit to get because I was growing my hair long and I had the beard and that was okay. But I could only take the beard for 8 months, and then I had to shave it in my head as well. So anyway, some people ask what these scars are. I might have mentioned this in a video before. I've lied before. Back in the day when I was at the bar, I used to say, oh, I got into a fight, I get stabbed here and there, and you know, all that stuff. But that's not true. It's actually, I have cysts on my head, and I got 2 more right here that I got to have removed soon. So I get these scars. Now, I could grow my hair out long, and if you could watch a few of my videos, you'll see the scars through my hair, because I don't grow it too long. Although I could grow my hair pretty long. I have thick hair. I don't do that. I like shaving my head because it's easier to maintain. And it's just how I've looked for, I don't know, 30 years or so. But I noticed when I shaved, I had my silver hair, and I was like, you know, I do like the silver hair, so I'd let it grow out a little bit more. So we'll see in the future. But anyway, that's what those scars are, in case you're wondering watching the video. Also, JB, thank you for commenting on the boredom video that I did. I agree with you, it is a touchy subject. And he does mention in the book that there are various groups, I guess you could say, or factors that tie into why people believe in mass groups and stuff. So it stood out for me because I thought in this day and age, and since I want to say maybe 2000, or 2007 or whatever the iPhone and technology kind of went up a notch or two digitally, we started to get bored or something like that. But anyway, go watch that video if you want to check it out. JB, thank you for your comments. I meant to comment back to you, but I didn't get enough time last night to do that. I think I liked your comment. If I didn't, I will go back and do that. But today, I wrote down in my little notebook here, a lot of notes going on. I thought this would be fun. I don't know if this will be a good video. I don't know, not that all my videos are good or anything, not that there's compelling stuff going on, but I'm learning and I'm experimenting with this channel as I go, so things will be hit or miss. Ironically, the conspiracy theory, the one with the aliens video, the morning coffee one that I had, was my most popular video. So I do have my top 5 conspiracies. I'm gonna do that, but and here we go with the chopper again, or the helicopter. I don't know if Google is flying around doing their Google thing. Yesterday, up along the highway over here, they were doing something, and they've been flying around. So I don't know. I think it's Google. I don't think it's the government searching for parties, although that could be the case. I know they were doing that. They were one weekend, the governor and the state police and the National Guard were flying around trying to break up parties and stuff. Had I known the governor was in the helicopter, I would have mooned her. But I didn't get that opportunity. But anyway, so today I've decided to do my top 5 historical figures I'd like to hang out with. Might not be a spectacular thing. It might not appeal to a lot of people, which is fine. But this is just something I was thinking as I was writing things down for ideas, and with the channel and the analytics that I've noticed. I know the conspiracy theory one, and I like conspiracy theories, don't get me wrong. I like a good conspiracy theory, and I have several of them that I find compelling and interesting. I just love reading about it and the thought process that goes into it, and the stuff that they come up with is fascinating. It's usually better than what you'd find in Hollywood, because, you know, Hollywood these days, they can't write anything. They're horrible at writing anything. Everything's a remake because they have no idea how to write something original on their own. So yeah, so I got that, and I might do that this weekend. I might do my top 5 conspiracies. We'll see. But I was thinking as I was writing, history is a thing of mine. I like history quite a bit, and killed that bug. And I was going to go for the trail, but here's the problem with going to the trail. It's about 20, 15 minutes away, and unfortunately, I've been sleeping. Unfortunately, well, good for me. Unfortunately for you, I guess. I don't know, or even myself. I haven't been able to get up as early as I normally do to start my day. Like I said, I'm on vacation, so I've been enjoying sleeping in late, and I made a nice breakfast this morning, and I did some podcasting things, so I've been doing that, and I also have to pick up my daughter at 12:30, so the time is limited, so I decided not to do that, and I decided to work on things for this channel today. I was writing stuff down in my little idea book, and this is pretty good to have. I like these little field notes. I like having this. I have a journal as well. I want to start journaling again. I tried that last year, but then I got sidetracked for some stupid reason. I was initially coming out here and I was journaling. I was going through quotes that I like, which is another thing I might do a video on. And I was writing down my thoughts on the quotes and whatnot. So, but then it got cold, and I want to say I stopped coming out to the shed in January because it got pretty cold. And not that that'll happen this year. I got the heater. I do have a heater. I'm not worried about that. I got blankets too. So in the winter, I will still come out here. But it depends. I might take some days. I might not be able to make it through. You know, if there's 10 feet of snow out there, or if it's like sub-zero temperatures. Maybe I'll do something different in the house. I had a few other ideas for making the serial killer videos that I do, the serial killer files. I might change that around and be in the podcast studio and actually record something and have images and stuff that are going on with that. So I might switch that up. The next one I wanted to talk about was Israel Keys, and that was going to be this month's, but I might take a step back and bring that into September. I might do that. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm playing around with those things, so we'll figure it out. But anyway, let's get into the top 5 historical figures that I would like to hang out. Let me make sure I got 5 in my book here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I do have 5. I did do that. I have honorable mentions, you know, the standards: Quincy Adams, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, any founding father, and stuff like that. So, yes, of course, that's obvious. If you could talk to them, you would. I think that's nothing spectacular. But I don't know if I'm going to put this in any particular order, or I'll just... All right, well, I'll do this. So the first one is Seneca. Obviously, with Stoicism, and Seneca is one of my favorite philosophers of all time. Very interesting character, and I'm enjoying the Tim Ferriss book or audio book about Seneca's letters, and they're really interesting. And of course, I really like what Tim Ferriss did, which was really nice of him. He interrupted for I think it's letter 56 or 7 or something like that, where basically he says, this is Seneca on mushrooms. He's like all over the place, and it was just interesting to hear. So I'm enjoying Seneca. I think he's an interesting fellow, and I would love to have a conversation with him, because when you now listening to these letters in this audiobook, when you get, and I think this is better than me like actually reading it, but when you have someone reading it, this is where audiobooks kind of play a bigger role, I think, or mean a bit more than the actual book, is when this person's, the voiceover is reading it, you get the personality of Seneca a little bit better than if you were just reading it. And it jumps off into your mind, and you're like, he's a cool guy. I'd love to hang out with him. It'd be interesting to see what he says. Like, it would be an interesting conversation going back and forth, and I would love to have a conversation with him. All right, so after that is one of my personal favorites from when I was a young boy. No, not a young boy, a teenager on into my 20s. Still a kind of a hero of mine. I wouldn't say hero, but like an influence or someone I admire is Charles Darwin. It took a lot of guts to write The Origin of Species, which, by the way, I read back in high school, and that was a chore. I mean, that is not exactly like reading Seneca or listening to Seneca with his humor and everything. Charles Darwin it's a very scientific book from, what was it, the 1900s, 1800s, whatever the hell whenever he wrote it, and it was very interesting. He's an interesting character as well, and he had an epic beard as well. He was cool. He was awesome. I would love to have a conversation with him on his journeys and his theory that he came up with. Now, he's credited with being the father of the theory of evolution, but there were others that were kind of hinting at that. He's the one, I guess, put it into print and gave it the foundation and all that other stuff. So Charles Darwin's a fascinating man. I had a, this is a funny story, side story. When I was a kid in high school, I went to the pet shop and I noticed there was a poison dot frog at the pet shop, which amazed me. I'm like, really? They have these? Of course, I believe, from what I remember, it's the food that makes them poisonous and secrete the poison. So he wasn't poisonous per se, I guess. So I bought a frog, a poison. It was orange, and I called him Darwin after Darwin. And I remember I put him in my closet in my room because it would be darker in there, and I felt like it would hold the humidity better for his cage and everything. So I put him in there, and of course I didn't tell my father. I just bought it and did my thing, and there was a light that was with it. So my father came home from lunch one day, and he was in my room for some reason. I guess when you're a teenager, you don't have much privacy. Your father or your mother or whatever is gonna investigate. So he saw this bluish light coming from the closet, and immediately my father must have thought, he's growing marijuana, that son of a bitch. So he opened it up, and he looked, and all he saw was the poison dot frog, and he laughed and said, well, that would figure for my son. You would think normal people would be growing marijuana, but nope, my son's got a poison frog. So that was a funny story. That was a funny conversation at dinner, I'll tell you that. So let's see, we got 1, 2, all right. The next one is Bass Reeves. Now, this guy is a badass. This guy was like Boba Fett. What else? Boba Fett, and I would say the guy from the Clint Eastwood. All those bounty hunter / mercenary / badass people you've ever seen on film. This guy was it. Bass was he was an African American bounty hunter in the Wild West, and you got to check him out. He was just, during a time period where I believe it was just after the slaves were freed, or even if the slavery might still have been going on, but he was a free man, and he was going and collecting bounties on people, and he's just fascinating. He didn't back down at all. He was a badass, man. He was Samuel L. Jackson, Jules in Pulp Fiction. He was a bad mother bleeper. That's what he was, and he's awesome. I would love to have a conversation, listen to those stories that he would tell about being out in the hunting people down and all those things, and his tactics and what he would use, and how he stood up to people seeing him in a lesser light than them, and he didn't give a shit. He just kind of did his thing and collected his bounty, and it's an awesome, fascinating thing. I saw a thing on him on the History Channel, and I was like, you know what? And I got a bug flying around here. I don't know if it's a hornet or a fly. It's a fly. And I was like, you know what? If you look at a picture of him, and you look at him, this stupid fly, you look at him, you said, who could play him? Denzel Washington, if they ever did a movie. And they should do a movie on him, because he's just an awesome character. Well, person. He was. But anyway. All right, so we got Bass. The next one is Edgar Allan Poe. Now, the reason for this is because, well, the guy writes fascinating stories, short stories, and interesting stories, and it's near Halloween. I've been to Baltimore. I've been supposedly, for what my friend tells me when I was in Baltimore, the horse you came in on, which was the name of the bar or the tavern, whatever you want to call it, whatever they call it down in Maryland, and supposedly this is the last place that he was at, where he got drunk, and then they found him and everything and stuff like that. So I find it fascinating, and of course I've seen some things when I was in Baltimore on him and his dog yelling there, and I find him fascinating and very tragic. And then, it reminds me of when I was younger, preteen and teen and in my 20s, and that I was very melancholy myself. I used to call myself Melancholy Mike. And he had a lot of tragedy he had to deal with, and a very compelling person. It'd be interesting to talk to him and what stories he would tell you, or of course, there's the old saying that he was probably, I think they call it coopering, where in the old days people would get you drunk, and then they make you go around voting multiple times, and then they would just dump you off, and that would be that. And he died, unfortunately. So that sucks, but he's a very fascinating character, person, and the stories he came up with were pretty interesting. Now this list could change if I do another list, if this this becomes a thing on the channel. I don't know if it will, but my number one is Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt. I think he'd be a fascinating guy to sit down and have a conversation with. Not only that, I think he's, out of all the historical figures that I mentioned today, he's the one I'd most kind of relate to and have a fun conversation with. And I just like how he was just a unique president. He just, I don't know, he just was something special. And he's my favorite president, which is saying a lot because, Abe Lincoln's pretty cool, and so is George Washington. But I don't really typically look up to political leaders or anything, but Theodore was, he was just something else. He, very brash, very bold, said what he wanted, and always led by example. Just, he went into battle with the people. He was just an amazing character, and he was so larger than life. I think it'd be interesting to even be in the same room with him having a conversation. That would be very interesting. And of course, his daughter, supposedly, was it Jane, I believe her name was just as brash and daring and larger than life as he was. So that was interesting. Of course, with my daughter and myself, my daughter's very much like me, so I feel that little connection between them. It's a pretty interesting thing. So, but anyway, those are my top 5 historical figures I'd like to hang out with and have a conversation with. I wouldn't say dinner, but maybe a pipe or a drink, or whatever their poison is. I know Edgar Allan Poe didn't really like to drink, actually, despite what people think. He actually didn't. He had a low tolerance to alcohol, I believe, is what they say now. So, but anyway, that's pretty much my list. I don't know if you guys like this. JB, what do you think? Is this good? My friend Bob, do you think this is good? This is crap? I don't know. You guys let me know. I do have plans for a few more lists. Maybe I'll try them, see if they get any retention or looks, views, whatever you want to call it. I think the conspiracy one will probably get a lot because my UFO off-world vehicles video got the most looks, I guess you could say, or views, if you will. Not that that really matters, because I'm going to do what I want to do on my channel. I'm not really worried about subscribers and views and that. It'd be nice to have more subscribers, and hopefully I'll get more, I think. But, these first, 100 videos, this will be 57, which is crazy to think about. And it's all experimentation and getting used to the camera. My big thing is I got to stop saying in the middle of talking. I don't know why. I worked on that with podcasting, and I don't really do that much. But now doing this, I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, that's the story for today. I'm out of here. Maybe I'll see you tonight, because I kind of have an idea for tonight. We'll see. It depends on how quiet the neighborhood is. I'll just leave it at that. So, I'll see you guys later.